guys. Today we are going to read chapter 8 of The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. If you remember, in chapter 7, we left off with Randy and Ponyboy talking in their car, and Randy saying that he was not going to go to the big fight that's coming up between the Socs and the Greasers. And Ponyboy realized that Randy, even though he's a Soc, is a person just like he is, and that they have more in common than they realize. So let's start chapter 8. Chapter 8. The nurses wouldn't let us see Johnny. He was in critical condition. No visitors. We both begged and pleaded, but we were getting nowhere until a doctor found out what was going on. Let him in, the doctor said. He's been asking for them. It can't hurt now. Johnny was lying still. Two-Bit and Ponyboy went to see him. So we got Ponyboy, and remember, Ponyboy's our narrator. And we have Two-Bit, and he is just kind of a wisecracker. And they're both greasers too, right? You knew that. So Johnny was still with his eyes closed, but when Two-Bit said, "Hey, Johnny kid," he opened and looked up at us, trying to grin. "Hey, y'all." Two-Bit looked around. "They treating you okay, kid?" Johnny grasped. "Didn't let me put enough grease in my hair." Two-Bit pulling up a chair. "Well, we'll bring you some grease next time. We're having a big rumble tonight. It's too bad you and Dally can't be in it. It's the first big one that we've had. Did you know that they put your name in the paper for being a hero?" Johnny almost grinned. "Tough enough. I figured Southern Gentlemen had nothing on Johnny Cade." So remember, they loved that book, Gone with the Wind. And what Johnny really loved about that book was the Southern Gentleman in it. And so Ponyboy is thinking about Johnny and just thinking what a cool guy he is, what just a gentleman he is. And he's thinking of him like that. And even just saying a few words were tiring Johnny out. "Dally's going to be okay." He's talking about Dally. Remember, he was also hurt from the fire, and he was in the hospital, but he's going to be okay. "And Derry and me, we're okay now." So he's talking about Ponyboy and Derry's relationship. That's been healed up, and they're starting to get along better, and Ponyboy realizes that Derry really does care about him. So he's telling all this stuff to Johnny. "I knew Johnny understood what I meant. We had always been close buddies, and those lonely days in the church really strengthened our friendship." Johnny tried to smile. He closed his eyes tight. "Johnny, are you okay?" I said. He nodded. "Yeah, it just hurts sometimes. I can't feel anything below the middle of my back. I'm pretty bad off, aren't I, Pony?" "You'll be okay," I said, with fake cheerfulness. "You gotta be. We couldn't get along without you." "I don't want to die now. It ain't long enough. 16 years just ain't long enough. I wouldn't mind it so much if there wasn't so much stuff that I ain't done yet, and so many things that I haven't seen. It just ain't fair." "You ain't gonna die," I said. Johnny closed his eyes and rested for a minute. Years of living on the east side teaches you just to shut off your emotions. If you don't, you would explode. You learn to cool it. I'm going to tell you guys a trick that I do sometimes when I'm mad, or even when I had a baby. I had to shut off all my emotions so that I could have a baby. I pretend that I have a switch right on the back of my neck. And when I switch it off, I just relax. Everything relaxes. So I can be upset, I could be getting mad, I could get angry, and I turn my switch off. Flip my switch, turn it down, and then I just relax. So Ponyboy was talking about how he sometimes turns his emotions off because he's had a lot of things that that have hurt him growing up, like his mom and dad dying in the car accident and having to live alone with his brothers. So, and he knows that Johnny has had to do the same things because remember, Johnny's dad beats him up and his mom is really a mean person and doesn't really care about him. And so Johnny has to flip that switch off sometimes so he doesn't explode. But it's okay for all of us to be able just to calm down, relax, and flip our switch so that we can calm down, okay? A nurse appeared in the doorway. "Johnny, your mother's here to see you," she said. "I don't want to see her," he said firmly. "She's probably come to tell me about all the trouble that I'm causing her and Dad and about how glad her and my old man will be when I'm dead. Will you tell her to leave me alone for once?" And suddenly he passed out. The nurse hurried me out the door. "You can't see him now," the nurse said. And so Two-Bit handed her a book. "Make sure he can see this book when he comes around." What book do you think that he gave Johnny? It's your turn. Think about what book. You're right. Gone with the Wind, right? That was the one that Ponyboy loved, and that was the one that they read in the church. So he got that, Two-Bit got that book to him. Turning abruptly, Two-Bit said, "Let's go see Dallas." Okay, so Dally's still in the hospital. As we walked out into the hall, we saw Johnny's mother. I knew her. And as we passed her, she was saying, "But I have the right to see him. He'd rather see those no-count hoodlums than his own folks." She saw us and gave us a look of hatred. "It's your fault." "No," she said to Ponyboy. "No wonder he hates your guts," Two-Bit said to Johnny's mom. I shoved him along, and we hurried into the elevator to get to the next floor where Dally was. Dally was arguing with one of the nurses when we came in. He grinned at us. "Man, am I glad to see you. These hospital people won't let me smoke, and I want out." Dally was just his mean, ornery self. He was going to be okay. "Kid, you scared the devil out of me the other day." And for the first time, I felt like he was my buddy. "How's the kid?" Dally asked. "We just left him," Two-Bit said. "I don't know about stuff like this, but he seemed pretty bad off to me. He passed out cold before we left him." "Two-Bit, you still got that fancy switchblade?" Dally asked. "Yeah," Two-Bit said. "Well, give it here," Dally said. Two-Bit handed it over to Dally without a moment's notice or hesitation. "We got to win that fight tonight," Dally said. His voice was hard. "We got to get even with the Socs. For Johnny." He put the switch under his pillow and lay back staring at the ceiling. And we left. Two-Bit was looking down at me worried. "Feel okay? You're awful hot." "I'm all right," I said. He looked at me as if he didn't believe me. I got a little panicky. "Don't tell Derry, okay?" Remember, he doesn't want his brother to know. "Come on, Two-Bit, be a buddy. I'll be well by tonight." What do you think's happening tonight? You guys remember what's going down tonight that Ponyboy doesn't want to miss out on? The big fight between the Socs and the Greasers, and Ponyboy wants to be there. He said, "I'll take some aspirin." "All right," Two-Bit said reluctantly, "but Derry'll kill me if he knew that you're really sick and you go ahead and fight anyway." "I'm okay," I said, getting angry. "And if you keep your mouth shut, Derry won't know a thing." We were riding home on the bus. I was silent most of the way home. I was thinking about the rumble. Rumble's another word for a fight. I had a sick feeling in my stomach. I had the same deathly fear that something was going to happen that none of us could stop. So if you have a bad feeling in your stomach, if your stomach kind of feels tight or in knots, it's probably your body's way of telling you don't do it. This is a bad decision, okay? Try to listen to that feeling. If your stomach's kind of rumbling and saying, oh, this doesn't feel right, that's probably something you should not be doing, okay? As we got off the bus, I finally said it. I got an awful feeling that something bad is going to happen tonight. Something is going to happen. We're going to stomp the Socia's guts. That's what, said Two-Bit. Two-Bit knew what I meant, but he pretended not to. Cherry Valance was sitting in her Corvette by the vacant lot when we came by. Can you remember some things about Cherry? It's your turn. Think about some things we know about Cherry. Is she a Soch or a greaser? A Soch, right. Who was her boyfriend? Bob was her boyfriend? Okay, and can you tell me what happened to Bob? Right, he was trying to kind of drown. They got Ponyboy at the park, and they were putting Ponyboy under the fountain and holding him under. So Johnny thought that he was going to drown him, and then Johnny ended up killing Bob, right? So Cherry's boyfriend, Bob, is the one who died. So Cherry was sitting in her Corvette by the vacant lot when we came by. In daylight, she was even better looking. Hi, Ponyboy, she said. Hi, Two-Bit. No weapons. Your rules, she said. So they're only going to fight with their hands. No weapons, no switchblades, no guns, no other weapons can be used. No bottles, nothing like that. They're only going to fight with their hands. You sure? She nodded. Randy told me. He knows for sure. Two-Bit turned and started home. Well, thanks, Cherry. Hey, Ponyboy, can you wait a minute? Cherry said. I stopped and went back to the car. So now Cherry and Ponyboy are talking. Randy's not going to show up at the Rumble. Yeah, I know, I said. He's not scared. He's just sick of fighting. How's Johnny? Not so good, I said. Will you go up there and see him? She shook her head. No, I couldn't. He killed Bob. Maybe Bob asked for it. I know he did. I know I'm too young to be in love and all that, but Bob was something special. That's okay, I said sharply. I wouldn't want you to go see him. Do you think that your spying for us makes up for the fact that you're still sitting there in a Corvette while my brother drops out of school to get a job? Don't you feel sorry for us, Cherry Valance? Don't you ever try to give us handouts and feel high and mighty about it? I started to turn to walk off, but something in Cherry's face made me stop. I was ashamed. I can't stand to see girls cry. Ponyboy, I liked you from the start. You're a nice kid, Ponyboy. Don't you realize how rare nice kids are some days? So remember that, boys. Girls see that there are nice guys, and they see that there aren't a whole lot of nice guys left. And so Cherry is saying how much she appreciates that there are nice guys. And so they're kind, they open doors for girls, they smile, they say please and thank you. If a girl's walking, they let the girl go in front of them. Okay, so remember, we want you guys to be like those Southern gentlemen, kind of like Johnny was admiring in the characters from Gone with the Wind. You think about ways that you can be a gentleman this week, okay? And ladies, we're super sweet too, right? Okay. So, Ponyboy's getting mad at Cherry, and then she said, "You're a nice kid, Ponyboy. Don't you realize how rare nice guys are nowadays? Hey, I said suddenly, can you see the sunset real good from the west side? She smiled. Yeah, real good. You can see it real good from the east side too, can't you? She said. I can, I said quietly. Thanks, Pony Boy. She smiled through her tears, and I went walking home slowly. So there at the end, they said, even though things are hard, even though things are different, that they still see the same sunset and that they live in the same world. So it's best to treat each other with love and kindness. But we still are looking forward to seeing what's happening in chapter 9 and the rest of the book as we approach the big rumble. That's the end of chapter 8.